Welcome to Fitnosophy, build your body, realize yourself. I'm your host, Gaia Domenici. I have a PhD in philosophy, I'm a certified nutrition and health coach, and a personal trainer in the making. This is my podcast, where we'll be discussing how body, mind and spirit are all connected and how their balance defines our health. If you're passionate about training, nutrition and overall optimal performance, then you're in the right place. Hi, Tanto. I'm here with Tanto Hiciano. How are you?
I'm absolutely amazing. I am so blessed and so honored to be here with you, sister, and to share this sacred space that we are creating here with you.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to have you here. So Tanto is a very interesting character because all he does basically is spread love. So, and it's something that I really appreciate. So why don't you tell us something about yourself, like your story, who you are, where you come from, and what your plans are.
Okay. Once again, thank you so much for having me. Tanto Hiciano. I'm a young man born by a different name. I'm born by the name Hiciano, and my family comes from the Dominican Republic, which is an island on the Caribbean. The Dominican Republic is a country, an island that is split into two countries, two nations, and this island is known in this world as the island of Hispaniola, and it's the first island Christopher Columbus landed on when he came to the Americas. And so my peoples, my original peoples are the Taino natives. And it's beautiful. I hear stories about them pass through time, and it's an interesting and sad but powerful and beautiful reality what happened to the natives of this island. The Taino natives were an innocent peoples. They were peoples of the earth. They were peoples of Mother Gaia. They were peoples of this earth, and so they lived in harmony and perfect connection. And so when Christopher Columbus came, it took only one group of his men to conquer the entire island, because the Taino people were not a warring people. They were a people of harmony and love, and they did not know battle. And I feel life is interesting as everything plays out, because now I carry the blood of these Spaniard men as well. I carry the blood of men from all over the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal, Spain, Italy. I have Sardinian blood. I'm a Taino native. I have West African blood. I have Egyptian blood. I have Mesoamerican blood, South American blood. So I think I'm myself. Yeah.
It's fascinating. I was carried away with your story, because it's true, and at the end of the day, you're not the only one. I think most of us, maybe even without realizing, we all kind of mixed up, and we just lost trace of who we are, of what our roots are, because we sort of tend to identify ourselves with the country we live in, with the ethnicity we think we belong to, and we tend to forget where we come from. And where when you're asked where you come from, and you just name your country, that's probably the wrong answer, because you come from much further than that. It's not just your country, it's not just your origin country, it's more than that. It's your history, it's everything that runs in your veins, in your DNA. And so that's a very interesting point that you just made. But yes, please go ahead and tell us something more.
Thank you. No, it's your soul. I feel so often when we talk to people and we ask them, who are you? What are you? And how do you value that? What does that mean to you to be you? So often we get back, like you say, a nationality or a name or a family name. Well, there is a soul that is coursing through time and history and existence, and you are not just you, but you are a culmination of all those that have come before you. We know this to be true, that our genetic makeup is directly impacted and affected by the experiences of our ancestors, of our parents. And so epigenetics, the impact of individual reality on the genetic structure. Who I am is affected by who I decide to be.
And, I love this. Yes, I love this concept, and yeah, I think we'll get to it later, because that's that's what I want to focus most of the discussion on. So yes, we'll definitely get back to it. Yeah.
The question was, who am I? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a very valuable question, but I am Tanto Hiciano. I am 22-year-old young man of heart and soul. I am a soldier. I'm an active duty soldier in the United States military, and I've been soldiering and serving in that capacity since I was 19 years old. I was born into a family, and I tell you of my island, and I tell you of my peoples and their origin stories of some of my peoples, because I come from everywhere. And it's an interesting story, and it's a sad story, but it's a powerful story. And my story is similar. I come from a disheveled family. I come from instability. I come from disconnectedness. I come from a family of people who love each other so deeply, but don't know how to rise up from the pits of their sorrows. And so they love one another endlessly in their darkness, with the unknowingness of how to climb out of their lostness. And so my life was interesting. I was born to a man who had no father. I was born to share with you my story, if you really truly would like to know. I was born to a man whose mother was second in her life, and whose children suffered the consequences of that, of not being taught how to be first in their lives. And so my grandmother, my father's mother, accepted becoming the second wife to a man on this island of the Dominican Republic, a lost man, a man who had a family. And this man had a family, had a home with 2 stories. And on the first story was his first family. And on the second story lived my grandmother, my father, and my 2 aunts. And their existence was exactly that, was second. And if you imagine what it means to be a man, and if you imagine the power that is in that, and the value that comes with being a man, my father was never honored with being taught that. And so it was reflected in his life, and I honor him and love him because I understand him. I understand his journey. And so all that to say, I come from instability. My mother, it comes from a family of instability as well. And they are a beautiful family, to say the least. They are a dancing peoples. They are a singing peoples. They are united in their struggles. They are united in their being. They live and breathe as one. My family, my mother's family, they live and breathe as one being. And I love them and I honor them. But at the age of 14,
sorry to interrupt you. So you're kind of uniting the opposites, basically. You're like the one who brings two opposite poles together, two opposite ends and stories together, and completes them basically. That's really, really interesting, and thank you so much for sharing your story. And I guess that must be not so easy for you to share such a private and confidential reality of yours. So I truly appreciate that, and I'm really grateful. And please go ahead. Sorry, because I interrupted you, but I didn't mean to.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on my journey. I'm telling you, I am honored to be here. This is amazing to share. It's interesting because, as you can see, this is how my mind goes from here to there to there. But I suppose it's a blessing and a curse, and something to be developed. But so yes, thank you. I am a thing to align opposite poles. I align the north and the south and meet them in the middle, and we become one, and we become soul, and we become truth. And so I am the embodiment of that. I am that. And and honestly, my journey is like, it's interesting because first to who I am. So I'm a soldier at the age of 14. At the age of 14, I found myself lost. My father had grown in his own horrors, in his own torment, and his own disconnectedness, and became an abusive man. And we hear the story time and time again, and it's a story that's as old as time. A man loses his way and is disconnected from the power of himself, and so his power gives and falls and falters, and it's not rooted in truth. And so at a young age, I was born here. My mother and my little brother, I have a little brother. His name is Hiciano, and that is my brother. And I love this boy. He is my we struggled together. And at the age of 14, I came to a place in my journey with my mother where she was no longer equipped to guide me as a young man. I had become lost without a father, without knowing who I was. And so I was out in the world seeking understanding of myself. And if we have any understanding of how that usually goes, it ends up, one ends up lost and one ends up, we say we get lost, but I mean, I ended up here, so.
Which is great. Yeah. So was that the reason why you then later joined the army, or like because you wanted to, like you sort of felt the need for more structure in your life and more, I would say structure and rigidity maybe, or was there anything else that led you to join the army?
Yes, actually. So, born in New York City, lived in between the Dominican Republic and here, years forth. Relationship with my father was as it was. My mother took my brother and myself, and we fled to the States. We fled to America in search of a greater life. And so I was away from my father, and I was with my mother, and I lived, and my life was beautiful. My mother loved me. She loved me with all of her heart, and she still does. And but I grew troublesome. I grew wild, as is my nature.
There's nothing wrong with that. I just recorded a podcast on this subject like a few days ago. So I think that's how everyone's supposed to live. Actually, we should reconnect with our own wilderness and become a little bit more wild and spontaneous maybe. So so there's nothing wrong with that. I love it.
Absolutely. I know, sister, it's beautiful. It is everything. And so I've become a wild, untamed boy at the age of 14, at an interesting stage in a man's life when in a boy's life,
Yes.
where he is trying to find his way. What am I? What is this? What is all of this? And so I'm out in the world seeking, and I find many things. I find brotherhood. I find suffering. I find a dark valley full of struggle. If you know anything about struggle, it builds a man. And so my struggle and my journey in this dark valley, which was a long journey, by the way, it lasted many years, built me. So at the age of 14, I was adopted. Actually, I was adopted at the age of 14 by my half uncle.
Your half uncle, yeah.
So my mother has a little brother, and this man is a great man. This man is a champion of champions. This man is a man of intellect, of wisdom, of presence. He commands presence in his being. And so he took me in, for I believe he saw a gift in me that he could help cultivate. And so at the age of 14,
that's awesome. That's really amazing. Yeah.
it is. It is. And I honor that man. I honor that man. And so at the age of 14, my father, the man who I call my father, which is my uncle by blood, took me in. And so honored. And so from the age of 14 to the age of 19, I was raised differently. When I was taking it, my father is a soldier as well.
Oh, that's what, yeah.
My father is still a soldier now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, he's an officer in the United States Army, and he's been serving in the Army since the Gulf Wars.
Wow, that's a long time, yeah.
Yes, he's been in for 16 years now, which is an interesting journey to say the least. But yeah, he was in the first waves into Afghanistan and in that conflict, and his journey is his own. But
yeah, but you share part of yours with his, so that's also yours in a sense. That's very good. That's great. So so basically, he sort of played a role as well in you joining the army at 19. Because that was the man you looked up to the most, and you sort of wanted to look like him a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, that's a good thing, I guess. When someone plays an influential role, which is positive and gives you, good values, and leads you towards what you discover, being your path. There's nothing wrong with it. I guess that's probably the best thing that can happen in someone's life.
It was exactly what was meant for me. He was the father that I did not have. He was the pillar, the structure. He was the strength, the fortitude of a man. You speak of something to emulate or imitate, and often emulation and imitation, when rooted in love and truth, it becomes that thing which is genuine cultivation. And so in trying to emulate a great pillar, I became a little mighty pillar of my own. And
that's awesome. That's awesome. And I think we'll get back to this point later when we talk about self-realization a little bit more in detail, because I've got something to say as well. And I love that you mentioned this. I love, that you brought this up, because I love the words that you use to describe it. And that's true. On the one level we have emulation for the sake of it, like anti-emulation, when you're like a teenager and you look up to a celebrity, right? And you just want to get what this person has, not even what this person is, but what they have. And then on a different level, you have true emulation, which is kind of close to inspiration maybe. You feel truly inspired by what someone is and not just by what they have, and that's what really helps you become who you are, I would say. So I'm glad that you mentioned this point, and I love this, and I'm really curious to know more about it, like more of your own opinions, because you've got quite a lot of very brilliant, yeah, clever opinions. Your videos are always so interesting to watch. Even though welcome, but it's the truth. Even though you don't post them, too often, but every time there's something new, I'm always happy to watch it. And you just share love and wisdom, basically. So I really want to know more about it. So yeah, so basically at 19 you joined the army, thanks to your father as well. And how did you get into self-becoming? Like, so how did you become the man you are now, and how did you get involved with the issue of self-actualization as a sort of theoretical concept, or like in a broader spectrum? um, is there anything to do with like introspection and human relationships, or is there, I mean, I don't know, I'm just speculating here, just asking questions.
Yes.
But that's what I'm more interested. I think that's what everyone's interested to know a little bit more about.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit it right on the head. You touched it right on the nose. Exactly what it is. It is about self-reflection. Self-actualization is a journey of self-discovery. And self-actualization and self-discovery is a journey that must be grounded and rooted in love and connection, human connection with one another, and human connection with ourselves. And so my journey into self-actualization, self-realization, and then deep connection began. Who's to say really where things start, right?
Yeah. It's quite hard. Yeah. But okay, so don't think about how it began, but maybe first thing you remember that made you change, or that changed
Absolutely.
something in you, or I don't know.
I would love to share. Okay, so in my journey, I grew disconnected from myself. And though I had a strong man to learn from, to watch, to aspire, to be like, to emulate, though I had that, a man, there are foundational truths of what a man should be, of what a man not should be, but is. Not should be, but is. A man is to be strength. A man is to be love. A man is to be understanding, connected, present, wise, divisive, righteous in his quest. And so I found myself on one night lost. Terribly, terribly lost. I found myself in a forest of wicked energies. I found myself disconnected from my reality. I was living in a way that wasn't true to me. I was living each day from a place of ego. There was no love. I was not receiving the love that there was. And so I had become lost. I was living from my ego. My ego had grown like a tumor. on my soul. And it had built this false armor around my being that did not truly allow me to feel love for the world or love for the world in myself. And so I was disconnected from reality. I was here. I was in my head.
And sorry, when you talk about your ego, do you mean the immediate subject of your actions, or do you mean, because there are many possible definitions of what ego means? Okay. So you mean about like how you identify, so the subject of your actions and of your conscious sort of will, as opposed to a broader reality encompassing your subconscious and external reality as well. Am I correct? Is that what you mean? Or
yes, I mean my understanding of myself.
Yes, right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. My perception on what I was skewed. Mm-hmm. It was not rooted in truth. All right, it was not rooted in love. And so when you are not grounded in truth and love, which is the highest frequency I have ever come across, when you're not rooted in it, you become easily pulled. Your roots are shallow because they are not deep. And depth is love, and love is how we exist. Love is what made our skin and bones. The love is what pulled flesh. I acknowledge my body as the language of my soul. I acknowledge this vessel, this reality as the words spoken flesh of my existence, what I am come to life. And so I wasn't connected to that. I wasn't honoring that. And it's because I didn't know how. I didn't know how to honor that. And that's part of my journey. And so I found myself.
Did you have a perception of it? Like, did you know deep inside that part was also part of you, or were you just ignoring the issue per se? Like, did you have it? You had some
I was ignoring the truth. And the truth was that I was a hurt boy. Right. The truth was that the young boy that lives inside of my heart, that is me, the child within all of us, the child within us, the child within me was hurt. And he didn't know love, and he hadn't forgiven his mother, and he hadn't forgiven his father, and he didn't understand why he was hurt so much, and he didn't understand why his father beat him, and he didn't understand why his mother didn't know how to love herself enough to truly love him. He didn't understand. And so he thought he was a thing. He thought that what he thought he was, but that is not the truth of that boy's reality. That boy is something sacred. That boy is something deep. That boy is something ancient. That boy is much more than the struggles of this life.
Yeah.
And so I found myself lost in this struggle, in this darkness, in this pit. And in one night, the universe, God, source, sunk its talons into my soul and ripped from me my ego, ripped from me my perception of who I was. That armor, that false armor that I told you about, it shattered it in one fell swoop. It destroyed it. Amazing. And so if you imagine truly, and I can't explain, I couldn't share with you the power and vastness of the emptiness. When you live for years believing you are one thing, and in one moment, in one painful night, the universe says, no, that is not what you are. and bears a new fruit in you, uncovers this rusty old false armor rooted in judgment and hate, and shows you a seed, a vulnerable little seed. And so I was there, and after this night, after this experience, I call this night the collapse. Because on this night, everything that I was, everything that I perceived myself to be, collapsed. It was no more.
That's an experience. And how old were you when that happened?
I was 21.
Okay, yeah.
Just about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now.
So what did you do afterwards?
Well, so after this night, to me that night, after that night, I entered a phase of seeking, of just imagine someone is living blinded. Someone is living with their eyes closed, covered with lies, covered with judgment and hate. And in one night, the universe opens your eyes and forces your eyes open, and it does not allow you to close your eyes. You cannot close your eyes to the truth of what you are. You must look yourself in the mirror, feel the pain, feel lost, because in your lostness, you can find a way. Only when you truly acknowledge that you are lost can you start to find your feet, see where you are, find yourself, and start to walk your path. And so that's exactly what I started to do. I was there like this. What am I? What is this? Am I alone? And I spent the next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, I actually want to say it was something like 21 days. I spent crying alone to myself.
Wow, that's, I mean, it takes a lot of courage to not just to admit it and do it, but also to share this experience. So thank you so much. And I guess you must be so proud of yourself for how far you've come, and also for going through, for accepting and embracing this experience, because that's something, experiencing weakness and vulnerability is something that, I mean, that's never easy for anyone, but particularly for men, because men are meant to be strong, no matter what, exactly. So embracing, this realization and crying for 21 days. I mean, that must be a unique experience, which I'm really glad you're sharing now. And and so what then, like, did you decide to just share and spread your love instead, or did
so
something more happen?
this period of 21 days was a cultivation. It was a seed fighting. This period of tears, they weren't tears of sorrow. They were tears of a lost puppy.
Yes.
They were tears of a boy seeking to know what he was. See, if I wasn't this thing that I thought I was, what am I? And so for 21 days, I cried out to the universe. And for 21 days, I sat in myself and I meditated. And I called and I called and I just called for help. That is all that I sought, was guidance, connection. And I began to read. I began to read a book called The Wheels of Life.
Okay.
I began to read a book called The Wheels of Life, and this book speaks of the energetic centers in a human body. We speak of the human body and of fitness and of movement and of strengthening oneself. Well, within this human body, it is not just a sack of flesh and bone, but it is a sacred human technology.
Yes.
That is ancient and has been developed over countless generations.
Yeah. So
And by
if
the
you,
way,
yeah, go ahead and tell something about this book and how it changed you, and also what kind of practices you carry on a daily basis. If you got any protocols, any routine that you follow yeah. And
you know, my journey then began. It was slow. And as a seed grows into a mighty oak, my journey was a slow and painful and grueling one, and it took consistent effort. That journey, that night was a death for me.
yeah.
The boy that I was, he passed, and his passing gave life to a new life, which is
The man
Tanto,
who, yeah.
which is Tanto, which is me,
Love
which
this.
is Tanto the flame, Tanto the light, Tanto the teacher, Tanto the student, Tanto the guide, Tanto the ancient, Tanto the child, Tanto the all.
I love this. And
I
yes,
love
yeah.
it too. and so my journey began, and it was a journey of cultivation, learning to work the lands of my being.
And
Learn.
how do you do this in practical, terms?
I,
Like, yeah.
I did this in practical terms, yes, in applicable ways. How could
Yes,
others apply this to
exactly.
their?
Like 5 tips to
Yes.
cultivate your inner self.
I,
And
yeah.
yeah.
I began to live in radical truth.
Mm.
I began to live in complete vulnerability. I was no more a suit of armor. I was a heart. I was a gentle, loving heart that sought no more than love and connection. And in seeking just connection, true connection to myself, truth and only truth, seeking only love, I sought only to love myself, only to connect with myself, to connect with the divine energy, source, the earth, that bore me, that gave life to this fruit.
And how does this, relate to the army? Because I guess, like, do you fight? Do you ever, have you ever been called um, on your duty? Have you ever gone, or because I can't really see how, seeking love and serving your country can get along, but I'm sure there is a way, which is why I'm asking.
Duality.
Okay. So it's like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, and
I've heard the name before.
so it's a Hindu religious text, which kind of tells a story similar to yours, because that's the protagonist, this Prince Arjun, has to fight a war, and he's in charge. But the problem is that this war is against members of his family. So he doesn't know anymore, you know, whether it's true, whether it's right to go ahead. He wants to retire and not to fight. So Krishna appears and basically tells him, like, and teaches him the doctrine of karma. So you need to, I mean, you ought to do, you know, what needs to be done,
You reap what
and
you.
you need to be detached by your actions. So from your actions. So one thing is doing what's right, what needs to be run, sorry, what needs to be done, and another thing is attaching yourself and your own values to those actions, because as long as you carry attachment, you'll never be free, and you'll always be sort of bound to the consequences of your actions. But when you manage to you know, to take certain actions without any attachment being involved, that's when you really, you know, free yourself, and you're free from the consequences of such actions as well. So that's sort of the Bhagavad Gita in short. But you know, your story kind of reminded me of of that book. And yeah, so I'm really curious to know how you deal with it. So you said, you mentioned duality, which is sort of what the Bhagavad Gita tells us, like, you know, your actions are one thing, but your true self is something else. So you don't need to project yourself onto your actions. Would you agree with this? Or
What I can speak to is truth and alignment. I don't know if I can't speak to being truth. I feel often we seek so far outside of ourselves for understanding or meaning or connection. We seek tips and tricks to cultivate truth. And for me, I can speak only to my journey, and my journey has been it's what I've learned. It's my path, and it's what I can share with the world.
So if you had to kill a man, so if you're fighting and your enemy is just there, and so how do you cope with that? Do you just kill him? I mean, I guess it's fair to ask you. I mean, if you don't have to answer if you.
No.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know how you deal with love. Yeah.
And death.
Yeah, like, I mean, with love and your job. Let's call it that way. Like, because yeah.
So, my sister, it has not been in the cards of my life to be called to serve and kill another man for a cause that I do not believe in. Okay. I acknowledge myself as a warrior who comes from a warrior culture, many warrior cultures culminating into what I am. And so battle, it feels, I see it. I see war, I feel it. I feel combat, I feel death, I feel life. And it's not something that is far from me. It is close. It's here, actually. Life and death live within me. And so how I feel about fighting and killing. As a warrior, you have a responsibility to make yourself strong, to protect, fight, and die for what you believe in, your values, your truths. And so I do not think of a life where it is my role to slaughter men, purposeless, without purpose.
Yeah.
I acknowledge, though, that I have been many things in many lifetimes, and fighting war and death are part of life. In this human life, fighting and death are part of it. I am not detached from it.
No, I really love how you incorporate that. That's why I asked you, because I wanted to know how you, your perspective on it. So I love the answer you just gave me.
Killing, killing for the sake of killing is a horrid thing. But killing for the sake of protecting, of honoring, of serving, and that's an entirely different matter.
Yes, yeah, totally.
And it's not in this life, I don't think killing is meant for me. I can't speak to the future, though.
Yeah, sure.
I can speak to myself, and I can speak to my truths, and my truths are love. And I believe in life we must acknowledge that if there is love, there is also darkness. And if there's love, there is also evil. And so I acknowledge life as one connected thing. See, light and darkness at a point are one thing.
I couldn't agree more on this. Like 100%. So yeah.
It's like hot and cold. It is.
Yes.
It is one thing. It is temperature. It is a climate. And so, people like to take stances. I am this against this, but the thing that you are is also the thing that you stand against. So what are you?
Yes. No, I love your perspective, and I subscribe to it like 100%. I couldn't have said that better myself. So based on, like the studies that I've done in my life and sort of the person I've become, yes, I couldn't agree more on that. I was wondering, so I wanted to ask you about like your daily practices, if you, I don't know, what kind of meditation do you do, if you do any, and what's your nutrition like, what kind of training you do, and how everything connects together. So how your body, your mind, your spirit, your idea of self, embracing other people, how everything connects
Into
to,
movement,
yes,
and fitness, and using the body.
Yeah, and optimizing your like your fuel, like nutrition for performance. And because I think we agree that everything is connected and is interconnected, and that if you want to enhance functionality of one of those aspects, we need to enhance functionality of the other aspects as well. So it's not just like getting stronger. You can't get stronger if you don't also get healthier, more spiritually connected, more balanced, and so on and so forth. So I'm curious to know what your take is on this.
Absolutely, thank you. And you said it so well. You can't be strong if you are not spiritually connected. You can't be strong if you are not feeding yourself love, because the food that we consume, the things that we put in our body must be love, so that we can be loved. Right? You get into your body what you put out. You get out of your body what you put in. And so my daily practices look like connecting. Every day I seek to connect. Every day I seek to live my greatest truth, and to step outside of the comforts of who I think I am even now, and just share. I know myself to be tips and tricks. for self-actualization. Breathe. You must breathe. So often we think of our bodies as just what we move in, but our system is an engine, it's a machine, it's how you breathe dictates how you exist. It dictates your energetic output, and your energetic output dictates what you are and what impact you have on your reality. So I believe step one for someone who is trying to find connection is breathe.
And how do you breathe? Like, how would you teach someone seeking connection? Someone who's always been disconnected, right? Someone who doesn't even know how to breathe. Like, what's the first step to guide this person into proper breathing? And what follows? So, what other practices would you suggest? Would you recommend that they do?
I share this meditation with
Yes, please.
anyone who is disconnected. I would start with awareness. I would start with awareness of the self, of the body. And so I'd invite this person, and if you'd like to join me, I would love for you to join me in closing our eyes for a few moments.
Yeah, sure. Let's do this.
And so I'd invite this person, this being, I'd invite you to close your eyes and to sit for a moment with yourself. I'd ask you to acknowledge yourself being here. Acknowledge that you are here now and that is power in itself. Acknowledge that you are a node in a super cosmic system, in an intricate, interconnected web of life and love and energy and connection. You are here. So I'd invite you to be here and invite you to bring your awareness to your hands. Feel your hands, move your hands, feel inside of your hands what is within you. You can sense your bones, you can sense your body, your tendons, your ligaments, your joints. Feel yourself open and close your hands. Feel your hands, these tools by which you manipulate your reality, you control and contort and feel and grasp your life. And move your awareness up your arms into your shoulders. Move your shoulders, feel your energy, feel you. Feel yourself, loosen your neck, feel your chest. Feel the vibrations within your torso as you breathe, as you speak, as you sit. And invite you to bring awareness to all of the things that are happening inside of your chest. All of the intricate systems that make up who you are. I'd invite you to bring your hands to your chest and feel this awareness. Feel within yourself. And in the same way that you brought awareness to your hands, bring awareness to all of yourself. Bring it up into your head, into your brain, into your mind, up through your skull. Bring it down through your mind, through your throat, through your voice, through your heart, through your gut, through your root, through your self, down. Feel yourself. Feel what you are. And bring your energy down and your awareness down into the earth. And visualize your legs as roots. And tie yourself into the earth and its energetic systems. And feel the life that comes up through your roots. Feel the love that comes up, that you pull up from this earth that you are a part of. Receive the earth energy. Receive the love that is you. Sit in your connection. Sit in your awareness. And once you are aware and can feel yourself, I would invite you to breathe. I invite you to breathe down into yourself, down into the base of yourself, into your hips, into your pelvis. I visualize the hips and the spine like a satellite dish. We are receiving cosmic information always. Are you aligning your hips, your roots, your spine with this reality, with your current reality, so that you may receive the information that is for you, so that you may grow yourself into the beautiful thing that you are meant to be? Feel yourself and breathe down into your diaphragm. Expand yourself. Have no shame in breathing, for your body is your own. It is yours. Claim it. Claim it by moving yourself, loving yourself in movement, and breathing. Breathe. I'm going to invite you to take 21 deep breaths now. And these breaths are charged. You are receiving energy from the earth. You are receiving energy from the cosmos. You are pulling it down into your satellite dish, and you are actualizing yourself as a receiver of cosmic light. So we are going to take 21 strong breaths now, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Visualize power, your own beautiful essence. You are your breath. You are the life that you create with your breath. And so we are going to breathe now 21 breaths at your own pace. And at the end, we are going to hold the last breath in. We are going to squeeze our root lock. We are going to feel our legs as roots tying us down into this sacred earth that we are a part of. And we are going to feel a line from our roots up through our satellite dish, up through our spine, up into ourselves and up into the cosmos. So we're starting 21 breaths now. Feel yourself. Move your hips forward and back. Squeeze as you breathe out. Squeeze your root. Feel yourself. Feel this energy that you command. Feel your roots. Command this energy. It is yours. Feel yourself. Feel your energy. Feel your roots. Hold this breath. Deep breath in now. If it is out. Create diaphragmatic pressure. Squeeze this air down into your roots. Feel your legs connecting and pulling energy up from this sacred mother Gaia that you are one with. Squeeze your roots and pull this energy up your spine, this sacred satellite dish. Feel yourself, move yourself, and pull the energy up. And be.
Wow.
Come to yourself as you are ready. Feel yourself for a moment here. Feel yourself. Feel yourself. You are a wondrous creation. You are all things existing. You are a wonderful single point of consciousness. You are awareness. You are awareness. Be aware of yourself. Be aware. And simply receive the love that you are.
I'm gonna open my eyes now. It's okay.
No,
That was powerful. That was really, really, really powerful. Thank you so much for sharing this experience, for teaching us all how to become more self-aware. So, wow, I would really recommend, that everyone try this exercise. I mean, I've tried this before, but it's quite different, doing this with someone who's really into that, with someone who's experienced enough to really guide you through it in a powerful way. So I'm really, 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 really grateful to you for this. Thank you so much. So that this would be the first step to become more self-aware, would you, like, yeah, you would say. And so basically, is that what you do every day? Like, do you breathe like this on a daily basis, like every morning, or?
I connect, yes. I breathe. See, if you feel yourself now, when you are aware of yourself, and you just focus on breathing in this light, charging yourself, breathing it out, breathing it in. When you get into your body, when you harness the power of this sacred technology. You become aware of your deep connection. You are deeply connected. You are honorable. You are love. You are creation itself. You are awareness. You are experiencing your own reality. You are here.
Yeah.
Acknowledge that you are here. Sit in it. Feel yourself. Love it. Love the struggle. Learn to flow. Love the struggle.
I love this. Like, I really love the message. And so what else do you do? Like, what's your nutrition like? Just to name one. Yeah.
Christian. Okay,
Because you mentioned love, like you said, we are what we put, like, so we put out what we put in. So what kind of love food do you eat?
Love food.
Love food.
I love that. What kind of love food? So I have my relationship with food before. It was skewed, to say the least. It wasn't well rooted, and many of us, our relationship with food is not rooted in love. It's not rooted in connection, in feeling what we're consuming. And so for a long time, I was in the gym trying to build muscle, trying to be strong and big, and I was eating just to build a strong body. But I was ignoring my soul and ignoring my mind and ignoring my nutrition. And so a strong body is nothing without a strong soul.
Yes.
A body without a soul is nothing. It's a cadaver.
I agree.
It doesn't matter.
I think, everyone that builds a strong body has to have a strong mind, because otherwise, the body can't become strong. But something that's always neglected is the spirit, or the soul, as you called it. And that what really makes a difference, in my opinion, between someone who's fully actualized or on their path, to become fully actualized, and someone who's just strong. Because you can't get strong if you don't have a strong mind. But if you want to be the best one, you also have to have a strong soul or spirit, and everyone has to be in balance. So yeah.
Yes, and we can use movement and exercise. Like I said, things must be rooted in love and connection. So many of us are building bodies, building beautiful muscular bodies, but we are not building our heart.
Yes.
A body can be reinforced with will alone. Bones can be hardened with belief. So for you to lift and pump your muscles to look a certain way is not actualizing yourself. You're not serving yourself completely if you are simply trying to build a sexy physique. You need to be in your body, really be in your body. You must breathe. You have all of these muscles, but you are tight.
Yeah.
If you are tight and you are stiff, you are weak.
Yes.
Because
sometimes you're sick because you keep eating things you're sensitive to, just because you think that's the best to eat to build muscle, and that's the same. You're disconnected at the end.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And so my relationship with food has become one of light, has been one of energy. One of mindfulness. So what I consume is pure light, and so I'm connected. I am here. I am now. And in my calls to the universe, when you call to the universe, it answers to you. It answers to you. So be aware of what you're calling for, because no matter what, it will answer. Yeah. And so I was calling for a greater understanding, a greater connection, a greater way to feed myself, a greater way to consume. right? And so I was blessed with connecting with a family, a team who you may or may not have heard of before, called the Holistic Justice League.
Yeah, but I don't really know much about, like, I just read the name maybe on your Instagram or in someone else's, but
And
I've
so,
never, yeah.
so and so we've found the Holistic Justice League is a league of heroes, a league of champions like you, Gaia, like myself, who have aligned ourselves with a superfood company that creates the highest, most nutrient-dense superfoods on the market in the most convenient way. We could, and if you have the resources, grow your food. If you have the resources, grow your food. Learn to work the land and grow. Eat clean. You must eat clean. The food that you eat must be filled with love. It's not just about if you're eating kale, spinach, chlorella, spirulina. It's about the soil in which these foods are grown. Is the soil full of life?
Yes, and I think that, so I'm personally, I'm sensitive to most plant foods, so I have a very low tolerance for, you know, the most common sources of I mean, for what people usually understand as superfoods. But I 100% agree with the soil thing. And indeed, I eat a lot of grass-fed beef, you know, and lamb, which is where I get most of my nutrients from. And that is so true, because the way sometimes people think, if you allow me to just say something very, very briefly, yeah, because sometimes people think that, you know, superfoods have something magical in them, like, you know, some magical ingredients that make all the difference, but that's not the case. So what they do have, okay, they obviously packed with a lot of micronutrients which they absorb from the soil, because if you buy them from the supermarket, it's not the same thing. So they usually packed with a lot of micronutrients which they absorb from the soil. Plus, they might have some antioxidants. But the way this antioxidant works, it's not because they have anything magical in them. It's because they trigger chain reactions in our own body. So they, you know, enhance the liver's ability to produce glutathione, for instance, which is crucial to, you know, to detoxify the body. So basically, most of them, you know, most famous, most popular superfoods, they just trigger reactions in our body, which empower our bodies even more. So they don't have anything magical per se, but they do have some small components, some small compounds that cause reactions in our body. But the thing is, you need to grow those foods in a proper land with proper soil where they can absorb all the nutrients, and they have to be in season. Because if you grow your food out of season, like, okay, if you're lucky enough to live in a country with, like, you know, nice weather, then you might probably not have any major issues because you can find nice food all year round. But when you live in a cold country, right, you're not supposed to have avocados. Like, you might have them, but that, you know, like you shouldn't, like, you shouldn't be eating avocados, because, you know, the way those avocados are grown doesn't allow them to develop their full potential either. Like, those avocados can't really realize themselves, like they're not self-actualized. And but that's true, that's the case, because they're disconnected. So I really believe, like, in, you know, eating local, like, you know, what's locally sourced, locally produced, and for many reasons. But I guess the most important one being the soil, like the density of nutrients that you can find when a product is grown in its own, you know, a habitat. in the kind of land and soil that was meant for it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's great when you have like a supplement company that can make the most out of those, you know, nutrients, like, you know, and that can enable you to consume foods that are not meant to grow in your country, regardless.
If we're talking about self-actualization, which, what is self-actualization? Okay, so to clarify, self-actualization isn't becoming the thing that you think you want to be. Self-actualization is being that which you are. Then deciding a vision for how you want to take the thing that you are and develop it and use yourself and your gifts, because you have gifts, you are gifted, you have innate capacities, and use your gifts to affect your reality. And so self-actualization is about connecting with yourself, feeling, seeing, and being more of what you are, and then sharing that in whatever capacity you decide, but sharing that. And so you must connect, and connection is, we are cells on this earth. In the same way that our bodies are made up of billions and billions and trillions of cells that each play their own role, and each is its own individual consciousness in its own capacity. We are cells to this earth, and this earth is a being in and of itself.
Yes.
So if you are tapped into the earth, if you are receiving the light of the sun, then you are able to fulfill your role on this earth, on this being that you are a part of. And so it's so important for us to acknowledge our connection to this greater structure, and ground ourselves and root ourselves in the truth of what we are. It's like a red blood cell trying to be a white blood cell. It's not gonna work. It's not meant for you. Be you, because you are great at being you. No one can be you better.
Yes, I really love it. So, which actually, I mean, brings us to a different subject that I wanted to discuss as well. So, just to finish this first part of the discussion. So, basically, you do your breathing, grounding, awareness techniques, which are amazing. You eat those superfoods, which are all grown, nutrient dense, and that's amazing. And then what kind of exercise do you do? What's your favorite exercise for self-actualization, if you wanted to? Yeah.
Okay, so I've been training balance.
Mm-hmm.
I've been training strength, balanced strength. My idea before used to be build big muscles, look good, that's success. But in reality, I see myself as a warrior. And the greatest warriors aren't giant, muscular, men, you know?
That wouldn't be efficient. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
The greatest warriors are agile, are mobile, are stable, are flexible, are resilient, have enduring bodies that can go and fight and go and fight and push and go. And so I train myself in that. I train myself with the focus of aligning myself, breathing, feeling my body first. My warm-up is always feeling myself. Breathing, that's my warm-up. Breathing and moving my body. Okay. Let's lift and bear loads in these different interesting planes of motion. Let's test our agility. Let's move our feet. Let's dance. Let's dance. Right? Let's move our body. I come from a grappling background, so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Wow, yeah.
judo, and so my background is that of using the body for, it's harnessing one's ability to transfer energy using the body to affect another individual's being, right? And so it's using one's body to flow and move and create and take and break and and protect, right? And so for me, using my body now has become about connecting it. It's not about building big muscle and looking a certain way. You want to build yourself, of course, build your physique. You should. It's your body. Build it into a beautiful creation that you fed, right? That you trained, you did it, work it. But be connected with yourself and honor yourself in your training. Honor yourself and train with love. Not because you wish to be and look a certain way, but because you are. Train because you are.
Exactly.
Right?
I love this. And I love that you mentioned the specificity of training for the uniqueness of yourself. So like, because even though I do believe that bodybuilding is possibly the best representation, the best direct representation of self-building for sort of theoretical reasons, which I don't want to discuss now, but like that's kind of my main idea. But I do also believe that not everyone should become should build the same amount of muscles, or not everyone should become huge, or not everyone should like for some people possibly that might reflect the best form of self-actualization. But for some other people that might not be the case. So as you said, you regard yourself as a warrior, so there would be no point of you growing a massive muscle.
Yes, it's inefficient.
That would be totally inefficient. But on the other hand, I do believe that there's someone around for whom it would be totally inefficient to build balance, strength, and endurance above a certain threshold. So like I think everyone should improve those skills because they're vital anyway. They're important for our human nature, like because
fundamental.
They're fundamental, so everyone should be working on them anyway. But
moving, yes,
we all should be moving, but there's a threshold, I believe. So everyone should be able, I think everyone should be able to stand on a handstand for a while, let's say, but not everyone should be able to walk on a handstand. You know what I mean? Like that, there's kind of a baseline which defines what's optimal for the human species as animals, and as
and your individual physiology,
and then there's the individual physiology, which also becomes individuality. So like self uniqueness and specificity. I think everyone is everything is interconnected anyway. So you can't become who you are without becoming who you are physically, mentally, and psychologically and spiritually. So everything is designed, and you can play with different sports, different disciplines, different things, and at the end of the day everything will come together.
Absolutely.
But it has to be tailored on your
so what I would say is go experience,
Yes.
go explore, go train, go
Yes.
move, go go run, go lift.
Yeah.
I actually love, actually, okay, my first love in training was bodybuilding. My first love, my first love was bodybuilding. I mean, to sculpt oneself into, by using one's will, it's
Yeah.
it's such an interesting,
It's a challenge, isn't it? I mean, that's
what,
what fascinates everyone. Like, it's beyond
yes,
human, right?
yes,
Yeah.
it's like no man could ever grow that way himself, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You grew yourself over the course of years. And so, bodybuilding is so interesting because you're training up, 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 and there's so many things that go into it. The build, it's just such an intricate system that produces such a beautiful thing, right? And when rooted in love, because I think things get out of hand very often as well.
Yes.
And so I'd say for all of us, we are each individuals. We are each, just like you say, there's so many different factors that make up ourselves. And so we have strengths for a reason, right? There are things that you are innately good at. And
Yes.
there is a
Exactly.
reason that you are innately good at those things, right? And so acknowledge your talents. Venture into areas that are unknown. Venture into areas that are difficult for you. Most definitely. Challenge yourself. Develop yourself. Physically, try things that are new. Try all different forms of training. But there are certain things that you are good at. Find those things. Cultivate those skills. And develop your capacity to express yourself through your physiology, through your talents and your gifts. And this taps into your individual gifts, your heart gifts, your mental capacity, your physical capacity. Some people are very strong, some people are very fast. It's
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense for me to run ultra marathons, right? It's not for me.
It's odd. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Could I train? Could I train myself? Could I train for a few years to be able to run 100 miles straight? Sure, I could. But I mean,
yeah.
it isn't. It doesn't call me. It doesn't call me. Um,
Yeah, I love this. I couldn't have said better myself. Like, that's, I think the way you put it is just perfect to,
mhm.
yeah, to encapsulate this complex topic. And this, I mean, this actually leads us very, very smoothly towards the next one, which is the importance of coaching versus teaching in helping someone become who they are. So if you allow me just 1 second to share the screen, I just wanted to, where is it, this one? Yeah, so not to be, all right, sorry, yes, so not to be, and yeah, this is part of my first book, and I don't really want to kind of
No,
advertise my
please,
work, but it
please,
was
please.
just
Thank you,
because,
thank you.
no, it was just because that was a very short section that I wrote on teaching and mocking, imitating, and in the context of self-becoming. So my book was dealing with Friedrich Nietzsche and C.G. Jung specifically. So all my analysis, this kind of investigation was directed towards two texts in particular. So, and I don't want to, I don't want to take this out of its original context, but there was something interesting that I found in the texts I was dealing with, which were Jung's The Red Book and Nietzsche's Zarathustra. So this whole book is basically an analysis of Jung's interpretation of Nietzsche and how this interpretation reflects in his own Red Book. And it's based on an archival research that I did during my PhD. So I'm not gonna, that there's no point going into detail with this, but the interesting thing that I found was, and I guess I can stop sharing Yes. So, I mean, the interesting thing that I found was this process of teaching versus imitation that seems to appear in Jung's The Red Book, and the way he criticizes Nietzsche's Zarathustra based on this distinction. So basically, what I found was that there was a kind of a process in which you first start being mocked by someone, being ridiculed, and then you kind of you have the choice to start mocking yourself as well, so to kind of become to develop a self-irony towards yourself, or to stay in that position. But if you remain in the first position of someone who is just being mocked by someone else, there's no space for you to grow, right? There's no possibility for you to grow. So if you do want to grow and you move forward to the perspective from which you experience yourself, not only as being mocked, but as being able to mock yourself too, then there's room for further, growth. And after this level, that's what, after this level, self-becoming or self-actualization begins. And that's when the teacher plays a role in this whole process. Because at that point, you have, again, two options. Either you consider your teacher as someone to be just copied, emulated, or imitated, or you draw inspiration from this figure, from your own teacher. And this teacher has to be good enough and skilled enough to allow you to become who you are without imposing any values or anything external, because your own values, your own beliefs, your own truths are just your own, and only you are responsible for those. So, and the only reason why I shared the screen is because this concept just didn't come to me out of nothing. They came to me out of a research, and it's something that I put together over the course of many years. So I didn't want to take credit for something which I don't own any credit for. So
thank you.
but yeah, but that was the concept. I still do believe there's a difference between teaching and coaching, which is why eventually I decided to become a coach, sort of abandoning my academic, dream that I had. Because I believe, I think if you're an excellent teacher, you're probably a coach too. But most teachers are not like that,
Mm-hmm.
But if you work on your coaching skills, what you work on is the ability to help people, develop themselves. So I wanted to know, your take on, self-uniqueness and how. So because there was a video of yours that you posted in which you said, I'm a creator of creators because you need to create yourself. So I'm not teacher, but I'm creator, but I'm not creating you because you're creating yourself. So I'm creator. Yeah, it was something like that. So I would like if you could develop this concept a little bit more. Then we're gonna wrap this up because it's been already nearly 2 hours. I think it's enough, but I really wanted to know your opinion on this last point.
Absolutely.
Because I found it super fascinating. So yeah.
Thank you again. And so I venture on the subject of creation, and I acknowledge myself as a creator, and we are all creators. We are all beings here that make, we create art, we create relationships, we create new life, we create everything, we create ourselves, even we forge ourselves in out of the everything that is this earth and this reality, this and so to create oneself is to use intention. This is how it came to me once. Creating oneself is to use intention as a chisel to carve yourself and to carve the meaning of your existence out of the ether that is reality. And so your intention dictates your capacity as a creator. You can create love, connection, unity, personal development, strength, fortitude, resilience. You can create these things. You can cultivate these things over time. Or you can create the opposite: despair, fear, doubt, judgment, pity. You decide what you create. You are the creator of your reality. So my perspective is that of an individual who uses their intention, their awareness, and their intention to intend on being great, intend on being better. And so often we get lost on ourselves. Who am I? What am I good at? Do I love myself? Am I good? Am I worthy? The answer is yes, you are. But to speak of creators creating creators, we are beings of service. We are beings of community. We are here to aid one another in our journeys, in our development, in our creation. And so you impact and impart your wisdom on people, and that allows them to look within themselves, feel seen, then give them the courage to see more into themselves, go deeper into themselves. Okay, I'm within myself. I don't know how I feel about this, and to start building something. I always point people to their inner world. There is so much that goes into being, and there's so many different intricate systems that go into every single one of us. And so your internal world dictates your external reality. So tips and tricks. I would invite you all to focus your energy inward. Take a good, hard look at your internal world. Take responsibility for your world. Take responsibility, claim responsibility for your suffering.
Yes.
When you claim responsibility for your journey, it becomes yours. And when it is yours, you are the one creating it.
I love this. I really believe everything should start from a self-confrontation. So from within, from a journey into your own inner world and whatever that means. So
whatever that means.
Because that's different from everyone. But I agree. Like fighting with your own past, your own shadows, demons. And but also taking responsibility, for those that's crucial to move forward, because as long as you keep blaming it on someone else or on past situations or on bad luck, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna
You'll never be.
You'll never be. I know exactly, because some things are out of control, obviously, because you never decided to be born. You never decided where to be born from, and who your parents were, but you do decide, like you do have the power to decide who you want to become. Like, you know, if you want to live there, if you want to stay there, or move forward. So yes.
And I offer this perspective. I invite people to look at their lives from a grander perspective, from above. I invite people to look at their lives, look at their struggles, and place themselves in the perception of an individual who chose that journey before. Let's say you chose your exact struggle before you came into this reality. Let's ponder on the thought that you chose your struggles, no matter how big, how deep they are. You chose your struggles so that you may gain something from them in this reality, so that you may harness your struggles and transmute them into the food, the light for your greater creation.
I
And
love
so
this.
claim responsibility for your struggle. Own it. Decide that you chose your suffering. And now bear your cross. Carry your cross on your back. Honor it. And give yourself to something. Give yourself to something. I use the analogy of a samurai, right? A warrior whose sole purpose is to serve their master. They train tirelessly, they fight endlessly, they develop their minds, their will, so that they can better serve another, so that they can be indomitable in the face of any foe and protect that which they serve. And so I invite you to serve something, a greater thing, serve love, serve source, serve the all, serve the divine creator, the divine father, the true flame, the essence of our being. Serve love, serve truth, be truth. Serve truth, be truth. And to do that, you must take responsibility. Claim yourself. Claim yourself. You are your own. Claim yourself.
I
Honor
love this.
yourself.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think that's the perfect conclusion for this first conversation that we had. We might have another one in the future, because
I would love to.
you're such an interesting, you know, guest to have on the show. So thank you so much. Last three questions I always ask everyone. So last book you read, last meal you had, and last body part you trained.
Okay, so first, last book I read. Okay, the last book I finished was Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay.
That's the last book I finished. The book that I'm on now, I would have to tell you about, actually. So this book that I'm reading now is called Seth Speaks. And this is about, it's called Seth Speaks, the eternal validity of the soul.
Wow.
The eternal validity of the soul. And this book is a channeled book. It's we're venturing onto different subjects now of calling forth creation through our being, and doing that in different levels. This is a channeled book. An individual opened themselves and allowed themselves to be a vessel for creation and creative energy, and so they were met by a being, a personality of another dimension without a body. And we're getting into other subjects now, but she opened herself up to receive the wisdom from beyond this physical reality by a being that has existed through many realities and in many realities. And so this book is spoken through a woman, but written. This is a book written by a being without a body. So
That's
listen,
amazing. Yeah.
this reality is utterly complex, is what I would share with you all.
Yeah, don't tell me.
This reality is utterly complex. If you focus only on your little struggle, if you focus only on your little encapsulated bubble of life, you cannot receive the all that is always around you. You cannot harness the creative energy, the creative capacity that you are if you are only in your bubble. So expand yourself, open yourself, receive and grow, and you will gain what you are meant to gain and carry out the vision, the mission, and the purpose that is eternally valid in your soul.
Awesome.
So that's the book I read.
Yeah, then last meal you ate.
Last meal.
Yeah, and then last body part you trained.
Okay, last meal I ate. The last meal I ate was a drunken noodle patsu Thai food.
Nice.
I treat myself every once in a while. I love.
That's good.
I
Yeah.
treat myself every once in a while. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you must enjoy your life too.
of course.
You can't be too tough. Don't be rigid. You know, I whenever I eat, I acknowledge. I am mindful in my consuming of things, and so eat mindfully, consume mindfully. And the last body part I trained, the last body part I trained was my legs and their ability to stabilize me through different planes of motion and carry me in different explosive maneuvers. That's the last body part that I trained, and I'm so sore still.
That's good. That's a good feeling. Yeah. So we need to do more. Yeah, we need to do more, like one on training, maybe more specific.
Yes.
Because it would be interesting. Interested in knowing more about your training techniques. So now it's just too late. So because I think people will. I think they might be bored by now. Where can people find you if they want to find you?
So you guys can find me on Instagram at Tanto's Light, TANTOS LIGHT, Tanto's Light. On that page, I share myself and my light with you all. Thank you all for hearing me. Gaia, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here with you and to share a piece of my medicine with the world.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you very, very much.